Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Hawksnest here, back with another Call of Duty mobile video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the ASM10. Now, if you guys weren't aware, and you guys probably are aware because a ton of YouTubers have been talking about it, but if you weren't aware, the ASM10 actually got buffed this season, and now it is easily the best AR in the game. Now, I don't just say this from like using the gun and testing it and all that. I say this from literally going into the game and testing all of the stats, so like the fire rate, the damage, the ranges, all of that stuff, and I can definitively say that the ASM10 is the best AR this season. I say that so confidently, in fact, that I think that Call of Duty Mobile probably should nerf it. I don't think in its current state it's balanced at all. If any AR is considered the best AR and basically there's no other reason to use any other gun, then that gun should be nerfed. And once again, right now, that is the ASM10. We're going to go over basically what it looks like right now and basically what changes happened to the weapon and how it compares to other ARs a little bit. In the future, I plan on making another video comparing all of the ARs because I do think apart from the ASM10, there is really good ARs that you guys can use. And especially since I think personally the ASM10 will be getting a nerf, I think it'll be good to talk about the other ARs as well, so that when it does, if it does get nerfed, then you guys will basically know what other ARs are extremely good. So once again, this video will be focused on the ASM10, and then hopefully in a couple days when I actually get the HVK, I'll be doing a video covering the all of the ARs essentially. And if you're wondering why I say that, it's because the HVK currently is only unlockable through doing a event that's going to take me a couple days to actually do. So I won't have the weapon for a couple days, but I've tested every single other AR. I have all the stats. That's literally what I've been doing for the past 24 hours since the update came out. I just have to get the final stats on the HVK and then I'll be able to release that video. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and look at the ASM10 so you guys can see how it was changed and how you should use it, because this weapon does have some unique things about it that make it very interesting to use, I guess. So first off, let's go ahead and look at the recoil before and after. Okay, so now what you're looking at is the ASM10's recoil old and new. So essentially old is before the buff and new is after the buff. So if you look on the left side, you're going to see the old grip and the old and no grip. So it basically is just 30 shots from the ASM10, and you're going to see what the recoil looks like when I actually do that with and without a grip. Then on the right side, it's the exact same thing, except it's the new ASM10. So as you can tell, there really isn't a whole lot of changes to the recoil. I know a lot of people are saying they made the recoil like way worse or whatever, but from my testing before and after, it seems identical, except for I do think the recoil is a little bit worse now with a grip compared to what it was before. If I put this little red line on the screen, you guys can actually see that the new recoil is a little bit higher. So just overall, I'm pretty sure they nerfed the recoil a little bit with the grip, but it does seem like the recoil with no grip is very similar to what it was before. And if you just want my quick opinion on how this recoil stacks up against other weapons, I do think this is a very, very stable recoil, especially in the first, I'd say 5 to 10 shots. After that, I'd say it starts to shake a little bit more at kind of the top of the recoil trees. But once again, this gun is extremely good and it has really good damage. So most of the time, you're not going to need to spray a ton. I do think the side-to-side and vertical recoil will make it a little bit harder to use at range, but I still think this will be a very, very solid gun at range. And I also do think that the effect of the grip is actually useful enough to where you could use it. It really just depends on your personal preference and playstyle, but I do think the grip does help out a decent amount. It's nothing crazy. It's not like it just reduces the recoil to absolutely nothing, but it definitely does like cut down the vertical recoil a decent amount. In terms of the fire rate of the ASM10, it is totally unchanged. It is still 9.138 rounds per second or 548 rounds per minute. If you guys were curious, this is actually identical to the AK-47 as well. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the brand new ranges and damages. Okay, so basically what you're looking right now is a little chart that basically shows the damages at different ranges. If you guys are wondering what the ranges are, you can see them on the very bottom. It goes in increments of 10 meters, and then there's little squares as well that indicate 1 meter in between. And the map that you're seeing on the background is Crossfire, and it is to scale. So if you guys are ever wondering what a distance looks like inside of the game, just go ahead and look at the background and you'll be able to see what it would look like on the map Crossfire. And I chose that map because it has a really long lane right down the middle, so it makes it very easy to put these graphs right down the middle. But anyway, basically what you're seeing is the body damage. The headshot multiplier on the gun is unchanged. It is still a 1.2 headshot multiplier, which basically means that if you shoot someone in the head, you're going to be doing 1.2 times as much damage. But the rest of the body will be the exact same damage in terms of if you shoot like the feet, the toes, the legs, the body, the arms, whatever it is, you're going to be dealing the amount of damage you see on your screen right now. So we actually have two little range graphs, and you can see one is the old ASM10 and the bottom one is the new ASM10. And as you can tell, they kind of just changed it overall. I don't really know how to describe it. It's not like they just buffed the range or they just buffed the damage. They did quite a few things here and there. So essentially what they did is they made the close range range a little bit shorter, but they made it do a lot more more damage. So it used to be you would deal 28 damage up to, I think, 27 meters, but now you deal 34 damage up to 20 meters. And this is a massive change. If you guys are wondering how big of a change this was, basically the old ASM10 would be a 4-shot kill up to 27 meters. But now it is a 3-shot kill up to 20 meters. And that difference from being a 4-shot kill versus a 3-shot kill is a very big difference on how fast the gun can actually kill. So as you can tell, it was pretty much just an overall buff of the ASM10, but the greatest aspect of the ASM10 that's really good now is the fact that it can now 3-shot up to 20 meters. So now let's go ahead and basically just combine the information that we have of the range and damage with the information that we have of the fire rate to actually see the time to kill. Okay, so now what we're looking at is the time to kill chart. If you guys are wondering what time to kill is, it's basically how long it takes to kill someone when you start shooting them, and this is in milliseconds. So as you can tell, before it took 329 milliseconds up to about 27 meters, and now it takes 219 milliseconds up to 20 meters. Now, if you guys are curious how good 219 milliseconds is, I'll give you guys some quick perspective. So the MSMC, before it was nerfed, so like last season, the season before that, etc., it would actually kill in 194 milliseconds up close. So what that means is that the ASM10 kills 25 milliseconds slower than the old MSMC up close. And 25 milliseconds really isn't that big of a difference. So it's almost like this gun is like a MSMC up close. Now, the biggest difference of the weapons is the fact that the MSMC shot super fast, which means if you miss bullets, it's fine because more bullets would come out really quickly. Whereas the ASM10 shoots a lot slower. So if you miss shots, it's going to be very punishing. But if you're actually able to hit those shots, you're going to be able to kill people extremely fast. So I'm not saying the ASM10 is basically an MSMC up close now. I'm just saying that if you are good with it, you can kill people extremely fast. And actually, since the MSMC was nerfed, it kills in 258 milliseconds now up close. So what that means is if you use the ASM10 up close and you fight someone with the MSMC, if you guys both hit your shots, you're actually going to win the gunfight up close, which is insane to think about. And that's why I was saying that I think we're in the AR meta now, essentially, because I think SMGs are becoming a lot more irrelevant and ARs are becoming a lot more strong. Or a lot stronger, I guess. I said that kind of weird. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the changes of the ASM10. You guys have now seen the old ASM10 versus the new. And now basically what we're going to be looking at is how you should actually go about using this weapon. Alright, so first things first is body shots versus headshots on the ASM10. So if we go ahead and look at a time to kill chart and we look at headshots versus body shots, what we're going to see is that if you actually hit the head with the ASM10, you're not going to be getting any faster time to kills, except for from 30 to about 44 meters, but that would require you to hit 3 headshots and then 1 body shot to actually get this time to kill reduction. So basically what that means is that headshots are nearly useless on the ASM10, and you almost always want to be aiming for the center of mass, and what that means is you want to be aiming for about the stomach area. And once again, that's because headshots are only useful if you're shooting someone from 30 to about 44 meters, and if you hit 3 headshots, which is extremely hard at this range. And the other instance where headshots would actually be helpful is if you're shooting someone that's low HP, but even then it would only be probably, I'd say, like 1 in every 5 fights where you're fighting someone that's low HP. So it's going to be extremely rare that headshots are actually useful for this weapon. So overall, I just recommend aiming for the center of mass so that you're able to hit those 3 shots to kill somebody if you are up close. And at range, obviously, because the gun kicks more, if you're aiming lower on the body as the gun kicks up, you're still going to be hitting the body essentially. Okay, so next up is the suppressor attachment. This is the only other thing that would affect the range and damages, and as you guys can tell, the suppressor hits this thing like a truck. Now, I don't know if it's specifically the ASM10 that's hurt by the suppressor, or just in this season they changed the suppressor to be a very impactful attachment, but I would personally not recommend using the suppressor on the ASM10. As you can tell, it reduces the ranges and in turn the time to kills a lot. Once again, I will test the suppressor on other guns to see if this is just now how the suppressor works, or if it's specifically how it works with the ASM10. It could just be that the suppressor now is really impactful on guns' ranges, but personally, I would not recommend using this attachment unless you like really want to use it. And the biggest reason is because it cuts down the range that you're actually able to 3-shot someone by about 30%, which is extremely impactful. In terms of the reload speed for the ASM10, it has a reload speed of 2.4 seconds, and it has a reload speed of 1.75 seconds with a fast mag. This is kind of slow, but not super slow. It's just kind of standard for ARs. It's a little below standard, I guess. It's pretty much the same as the HBR and the AK-117, which are considered slower reloading ARs. So I guess for ARs, it is pretty slow, but once again, it's not the slowest. So I guess it's up to you whether or not you want to actually use a fast mag, and personally, I would say you should go with that over a extended mag, and the reason is because, once again, this gun kills in very few bullets, and it also shoots very slow. So it's not like you're going to be shredding through your magazine extremely quick. So overall, I would just recommend using a fast mag if you are going to use a magazine attachment. In terms of the ADS speed, I kind of have trouble testing this stat because it is such a quick statistic. Like, we're looking at really small numbers. So what I saw was that it's pretty standard for ARs. I don't think it's anything weird, so I'm not going to go in depth on it, but just know that it's pretty standard for ARs. So if you want to put a quick draw on it, you can. If you want to play very aggressive with the weapon, I would actually recommend using this attachment. That way you can rush up to people and shoot them quickly. But it's not like it ADS is super slowly and needs a quick draw. It's just kind of personal preference and how you like to play. In terms of the iron sights, I personally like the iron sights. That is totally personal preference though. One thing about having a red dot or a tactical scope or a hollow sight on is that it will reduce the time that it actually takes you to ADS by a little bit. And I just realized I said that wrong. It'll actually increase the time. So basically you'll be ADSing slower. So if you can't decide between the iron sights and the red dot, I would say go with the iron sights. I do think the red dot or just the precision optics will be a little bit better for ranged fights, but because this weapon really thrives at close range, I do think using optics is totally an option essentially. In terms of the speed of the weapon, the ASM10 is pretty much standard for all ARs. You're going to be running and strafing and all of that stuff, pretty much the exact same as any other AR. Alright, so in terms of the class that I would use, this is personally what I would use for like a mid-range to close-range build. I personally have a stock and a quick draw, so once again, I can play a little bit more close-range and mid-range. The quick draw really helps out in those close range engagements when you need to ADS very quickly, and the stock helps out when I want to take a mid-range fight and side-to-side strafe. If you guys are wondering what that means, it basically means when you're shooting at someone, you're moving side to side to dodge their shots as you're shooting them, and also the Skulker perk helps with that as well. And then, as I said before, a fast mag will just help me reload a little bit quicker, and the rest of it is just kind of personal preference. I like Ghost and Dead Silence just for a little bit of stealthiness. Again, you could put a suppressor on this build if you wanted to, but again, it hits the range very hard, so you're gonna be, I don't know, I think the negative side of the suppressor is a lot worse than the positive side of the suppressor is good. You know what I mean? I kind of explained that weirdly, but more than likely you guys know what I'm talking about. So I mean, that's pretty much it for the ASM10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you guys learned something from it. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Also make sure to comment something that you want to see in the future. So once again, I will be doing a video covering all the changes that have came in this season. I will be doing videos on the new like ranked season stuff, the new battle pass. I'll be doing tons of videos with all of the new content that is coming or has already came in the past few days. So make sure to drop a sub down below if you guys want to see all of that content when it does actually come out. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. Peace.